Hey guys, it's Bart Johnson here. Now, a little while back I went shopping around for a wireless follow focus system for use on my DJI Ronin and really for any situation where my camera would be out of reach and I need to pull focus. And after much shopping around, I ended up testing and purchasing this guy, the Redrock Micro remote system. I actually did a full review of this that I'll put a link to so you guys can go ahead and check out my full thoughts on this. But what I really want to get into today is something that actually expands the functionality of this system. This system is great, the hardware is fantastic, but there's something more than the hardware that adds a few features to it, and that's Redrock's firmware. Now, the firmware is basically the software and the brains that are inside of this, and they actually release a lot of different features and functions that you can use that some other follow focus systems don't have. When I purchased this system, it came with version 3 installed of their firmware, which added some features such as something called artistry. Artistry would help beginners to smooth out the focus pull and even add a little feathering to the beginning and end of your focus adjustment. They also had support for electronic backlash adjustment. So if you had a little bit of wiggle or play in your camera or your lens, you can adjust for that electronically. So features like that make this system really handy and gives it an edge on some of the other systems that are out there that I was looking at. Now, as great as all those features in version 3 were, Redrock Micro has gone ahead and added even more features and just released version 4 of their firmware for the microRemote system. This adds on top of the already existing features from all of the previous versions, but adds a couple of cool new features that I've been able to test out over the past few weeks, and I really enjoy them. So let me tell you what some of those are. Whenever you mount a new lens to the system, you have to calibrate that lens. And before, you used to do it by pushing the buttons on the base station, but now in version 4, they've added the ability to adjust your lens and calibrate it directly from the hand unit, which is great. That's the auto-calibration feature for lenses that have hard stops. You can do it automatically from the hand unit without having to go and touch the base station. Now, they've added a similar feature for manual calibration for when you have lenses that do not have hard stops, and it allows you to do the same kind of thing and set your calibration using either this handheld unit or, if you have it, the accessory finger wheel. So you can go ahead and use these to really fine-tune your endpoints and calibrate your lens that does not have hard stops. That's an amazing new feature. Another feature that they've added, which is by far one of my favorites and I've got the most use out of, is they have added the ability to save your lens calibration before you power down. It used to be that every time you had to do a battery swap and power everything down, when you booted back up, you had to go ahead and remap your lens, recalibrate it. You don't have to do that anymore. You can save the calibration while you do your battery swap, boot back up, you've got the same lens on there, you're ready to go. You don't have to worry about anything. In addition to adding new features, they've also improved the performance of the system. They've actually increased the torque of the system by up to 50%, which means you can drive some really stiff cinema lenses with this system. Or for anyone out there using stiffer vintage lenses, this upgrade will allow you to drive those lenses as well. Another cool feature that's coming very soon is they're also making it compatible with Canon LP-E6 batteries. Right now, you have to use a professional solution or rig something up on your own to power this system off of like a D-tap or something like that. But they're making an adapter unit that will allow you to power this off of simple Canon LP-E6 batteries. So as soon as that is available, that is going to be fantastic for keeping your rigs very lightweight when you might not want to mount a big battery on there. So of course, none of these features and none of these upgrades would be of any use if it weren't easy to get a hold of the upgrade and install it. And Redrock makes it extremely easy. They provided me with a preview firmware version of version 4, and I went ahead, used their software for their desktop that you can download, went ahead, connected my devices, no problem. A few minutes, boop, everything is upgraded, the firmware is installed, and I was off and running with version 4. One thing I really appreciate about this version 4 firmware update is that it actually came out. I can't tell you how many different pieces of gear I have that have an included USB port that they say is for future firmware updates, and I never end up seeing any firmware updates come out from them. The gear just stays as it is. Redrock Micro has been working time and time again to design these firmware updates and actually release them to us. And the other thing is, they're not just fixing bugs and making things work the way they're supposed to. They're actually adding features. So what I bought, just a few months ago with this system, the system has now already grown and evolved with this version 4 firmware update and has additional features. So this was a one-time purchase, but it doesn't mean that that's as good as this system is going to get. Who knows what's going to come and what features will be added to it down the line. And so having these firmware updates like version 4 and whatever we see into the future are just going to make that investment of yours become better and better and stay up to date. So I really appreciate that Redrock Micro has released version 4. If you have this system, I really recommend you go ahead and check out the firmware update and all the new features. And if you haven't purchased this system but have been eyeing it, I would take a look at these features, because some of these may have added some selling points that you wish had been in the system before. Well, guess what? Now they are. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I plan on having a lot more great content coming for you guys soon.